What is up everyone, Ethan here from the Pixel Error Productions, and welcome to the start of a brand new series, kind of. I explain everything in an announcement video linked in the description, so if you want to hear a bit more, head over to that one first. In any event, welcome to the first character we'll be remastering in the Oblivion Class Remaster project, the Acrobat. Based on the class from Oblivion, the Acrobat is traditionally an entertainer, aiming to amaze his audiences with displays of his great gymnastic skill. Such skills make him an excellent burglar, allowing him to gain entrance to virtually any building without attracting notice, and easily escape if noticed. The Acrobat relies on his agility and speed in combat to avoid enemies, with no need for the cumbersome armor and heavy weapons carried by most successful warriors. The Acrobat is a Bosmer of Valenwood, more commonly called a Wood Elf. With the Imperious races of Skyrim mod, he will have 3 new passive abilities and 1 new racial power. The Green Pact ability allows him to eat corpses of fallen foes to gain small bits of their attributes. With the Harrier ability, a wild spirit will mark animals that will carry bonus loot or even weaken enemies in combat when killed. His last passive ability is Wild Senses, allowing him to detect moving targets in a wide range around him when sitting still while crouching. When completing the racial quest added by Imperious, he will gain the Caustic Spirit power, which allows him to spit a corrosive jet at an enemy, weakening his or her armor and magic resistance once per day. Using the Aurora Standing Stones mod as usual, the Acrobat will use the Thief Stone to level up his skills. Then, he will use the Steed Stone to give him infinite storage space and faster movement in combat, which as you can guess will be very useful for a character relying on agility. The Acrobat was born on the roads of Tamriel into a family that lived with a traveling circus. The circus was popular as it provided a much-needed distraction from the political troubles since the Thalmor forced the Empire to sign the much-hated White Gold Concordat. Ever since he was young, the Acrobat was trained to take part in the family act. His natural wiry and small physical strength made it easy for him to quickly master the feats of balance, speed, and agility that he was required to perform when the circus was showing. It wasn't long before the Acrobat became an integral part of the acts performed each week. He traveled from the snowy lands of Skyrim to the refined courts of High Rock, and from the green forests of Cyrodiil to the dry deserts of Hammerfell. One fateful night, when the Acrobat and his family, as well as many members of the circus, were performing in Skyrim, one thing after another went wrong. As his parents backflipped away from the center of the tightrope, landing easily and lightly on their feet on either side of the rope, the Acrobat dropped down from above. He performed a series of complicated flips and spins in air before he landed. As usual, he easily stuck the landing. However, as the rope gave under his weight in the customary way, the Acrobat noticed it didn't stop. Suddenly, he realized in horror what was about to happen. The small sound echoed as if it could be heard from miles around. Everything happened in slow motion. The audience screamed as he began his long descent to the floor. Acting with lightning-fast reflexes, he grabbed with one hand onto the rope's severed end, swinging in a swashbuckling manner around the poles that supported the rope on each side. Unfortunately, his parents weren't quite so quick on the uptake. They plummeted to the ground, but the Acrobat wasn't worried. After all, they would be caught by the net that always hung beneath them. However, as they fell into the net, it provided no resistance whatsoever. Their broken forms crashed to the ground with a sickening crunch. The Acrobat hung, stricken, staring at the lifeless forms of his parents. They had fallen through a cut that had been made in the net. A dagger had obviously been sliced through the net that was meant to catch falling acrobats. That could only mean one thing, the Acrobat realized. It had been a setup. As he turned his head just in time to see a figure clad in tight black and red garments, a dagger clutched tightly in his hand. In a daze of rage, he dropped from the hanging rope and ran past the horrified audience out of the tent, his own dagger clutched in his hand. As he sprinted at top speed down the road, he felt a massive impact hit him in the side. He looked up to see a black and red clad figure above him, and found himself staring into the glittering yellow eyes of the black-furred Khajiit. He'd heard of characters like these, an organization of assassins. What had it been called? Ah yes, the Dark Brotherhood. The Acrobat had little time to dwell on the matter as his arm flew to stop the assassin's rapidly descending dagger from piercing his throat. The Khajiit had underestimated the young Acrobat's strength. which had been a deadly mistake. He was surprisingly muscular for his size. His grip on the assassin's wrist stopped the blade cold. Quickly and nimbly, the acrobat freed his right hand and rammed the dagger it clutched into the stunned Khajiit's ribcage. A look of mild surprise passed over the Khajiit's features seconds before he shuddered and died. The acrobat had gotten his revenge, but that didn't make the ensuing months any easier. The circus had lost its reputation and had trouble finding jobs to do. There was little to no coin to be found, so the acrobat was forced to take his leave. He traveled to the nearby city of Riften. There he would encounter a man named Brynjolf, who would introduce him to an exciting new and easy way to make coin. Now you will take a hand in the Acrobat's story. Using the alternate start mod, select the option I am a patron at a local inn, and then select the option for Riften's Bee and the Barb. From there, the Acrobat will head to the market square and meet a man called Brynjolf, who will bring him into the Thieves Guild questline. Once the Thieves Guild quest is complete, the Acrobat will hear rumors flying about a boy named Aventus Aretino performing the Black Sacrament and trying to return the Dark Brotherhood. Holding a grudge against the Assassin's organization for ruining his previous life, he will seek to destroy the family of merciless killers. The Acrobat can do any other questlines you can justify within the context of the character as usual. As for role-playing and playstyle, the Acrobat likes to limit his interactions with people as much as he can. It never does to make too much of a name for yourself among the common folk in the thieves' profession. Therefore, you won't really be accepting any side quests except from your own Thieves Guild. When he does talk to people, mainly merchants, clients, and the like, he can masterfully manipulate them to his purposes. When you're wandering in the cities, feel free to pocket anything that catches your eye. In combat, the Acrobat doesn't ever like to stick to the ground for too long. He likes to take the high ground, jumping from rooftop to rooftop in the cities, or taking a high vantage point on cliffs and mountains in the outside world, picking off troublesome enemies with his bow without any need for getting up close and personal. For ground combat, though, the standard strategy is to move the numbers more into your favor with a powerful stealth hit, and then outmaneuver the rest of your adversaries. Finally, if stealth isn't an option, stab and bash away using your quick reflexes perk to block with your dagger and dodge power attacks. Don't commit to any power attacks yourself, instead favor quick, high damage strikes that can easily flow into a parry. If you become overwhelmed with a mass of opponents, simply use your superior acrobatic skills to leap away out of their reach. Of course, with increased speed, you can also just run. Now we move on to the more technical parts of the build. The main skills for the Acrobat will be archery, sneak, lockpicking, one-handed, block, and speech. These are all skills found with the Acrobat class in Oblivion, but obviously the Acrobat class from Oblivion uses acrobatics as his main skill. Of course, unfortunately there is no acrobatic skill in Skyrim, but there are a few mods that we can use to simulate that. He will use mods to increase jumping, sprinting, speed, and taking away fall damage to make him feel more agile than the average character. You can go for a little more of a realistic jump boost, or one that is, to me, more fun. The 150% jumping and sprinting mod is more realistic and believable, however, I like to use the 10 times more jump height mod, which is a lot more fun and opens up many more options. Also, use the Rings of Speed mod and select the ring that increases your speed by 75%. This allows you to run and even walk much faster than the average character in Skyrim. As for skills that are already in Skyrim, archery will be a staple of the Acrobat's playthrough. This skill will allow him to deal good damage from far off distances, a skill that's very important to have when your character has very low armor. The main perks from this tree will be Archery Mastery, Clean Kill, Ranger, and Quickshot. Ranger and Quickshot both increase the feeling of speed and agility while the Acrobat uses his bow. The Ranger perk will allow him to move at full speed while his bow is drawn, and Quickshot will obviously increase the speed of your drawing and shooting. One-handed is going to be another main skill for the character. From this tree you will take One-Handed Mastery, Bite Marks, and Savage. These last two perks are perks that increase the damage you can deal with your dagger, and these are added by the Ordinator perk overhaul mod. I didn't go any further up the dagger tree simply because most of the rest of the perks up that tree have to do with power attacking, and since this character relies on speed, he will not be power attacking at all, making these perks irrelevant. Surprisingly perhaps, the block tree is also going to play an essential role in your playthrough as the Acrobat. The perks from this tree will be Block Mastery and Quick Reflexes. Quick Reflexes will be absolutely essential in combat as it allows you to slow down time while enemies are power attacking you in combat. This allows you to quickly dodge out of the way, avoiding taking massive damage, and as you wear no armor whatsoever as the Acrobat, this will be very, very useful. Of course, being a thief, the Acrobat will need the basic Thieves toolkit, starting out with the Sneak skill. This skill will be immensely important for obvious reasons. The perks from this tree will be Sneak Mastery, Sneak Attack, Silent Roll, Dynamic Entry, and Dodge Roll. The Sneak Attack perk will allow you to deal more damage and get a quick kill in before combat, bringing the numbers more into your favor. The roll perks really enhance that feeling of mobility, especially the dodge roll, allowing you to quickly dodge out of the way of an attack. Of course, this may be made irrelevant by your ability to jump extremely high, but it's still a nice perk to have in extenuating circumstances. The next thief skill is Pickpocket. From this tree, you want to take Pickpocket Mastery, Thief's Eye, Cut Purse, On the Run, and Lawless World. On the Run allows you to gain more speed directly after pickpocketing somebody, and Lawless World is a really essential perk for any thief as when using the Ordinator perk overhaul mod, as it allows you to commit petty non-lethal crimes and, if caught, guards will eventually forget that you actually committed the crime and bounties will be lifted over time. The Speech skill will help the Acrobat get out of potentially violent situations without having to deal or take any damage. The perks from this tree will be Speech Mastery, Bribery, and Performer. Speech Mastery is just going to overall increase your chance of being able to persuade or intimidate, etc. any NPC in the world, which will be very useful, so make sure you take both levels of this particular perk. Bribery is kind of not necessary. It allows you to bribe guards to ignore crimes. Since you have the Lawless World perk, this is made kind of irrelevant, but it is nice for if you do end up getting captured before you have a chance to escape. The Performer perk is going to be very, very useful and fun as it allows you to perform a song and collect donations. This fits with the Acrobat's Entertainer past, and although he never actually played songs for people, you can roleplay that he was putting on an acrobatics act instead. It's also a nice way to make some extra coin on the side. And finally, from the Lockpicking skill tree, you will be taking Lockpicking Mastery and Robber's Eye. Obviously, Lockpicking Mastery is just taken so that you can pick locks more easily, and Robber's Eye is just a fun little perk that allows you to find a container full of valuable items to lockpick upon the entry of a building. No spells will be used for this build, but there are a couple shots that are alright if you want to take them. Aura Whisper, Become Ethereal, and Disarm are really great. Aura Whisper, Become Ethereal, and Disarm fit the character pretty well. Become Ethereal can be really useful if you find yourself in a tough spot and can't get out, and Disarm is really nice if you're facing a slightly more powerful opponent that you're having some trouble take down, especially if they're blocking quite a bit. Now we just have a few final things to go over for this build. As for followers and mounts, the Acrobat will need no followers or mounts as they will really just slow him down. However, if you wish to use a horse purely for the purpose of getting around, it's completely viable, but with a 75% increase to your speed from the ring, you might actually be faster than the average Skyrim horse, so unless you have a mod increasing the horse speed, you might be better just walking. As for housing, it's really the best to just hang around in the Ragged Flagon. There are a couple mods that add some bedrooms and safe storage to that particular area that I'll list down in the description for you. Finally, we have armor and weapons. He will use no armor as it will again just slow him down. Instead, he will sport a set of miner's clothes as well as a pair of foot wraps. He'll also need a bunch of enchanted jewelry that you'll find in your travels. Because of the general lack of armor, this build can prove to be a challenge. You have been warned. Again though, this is accommodated by the playstyle, which should generally allow you to block and dodge around most of the more high damaged attacks. As for weapons, because he does the Thieves Guild questline, he will use the Nightingale bow, which is one of the better bows in the game. He will also use any dagger that he finds to quickly and silently kill opponents. Mehrunes' Razor is a great option as it does high damage with a cool enchantment and no need to be recharged, so you can sell all your soul gems, stolen or otherwise. The dagger I'm using in the video is actually from the Riften Supreme mod, which adds a really cool little quest allowing you to obtain some different bits of armor and daggers for your thief character. But anyway guys, that covers absolutely everything you'll need to know to bring the Oblivion class, the Acrobat, into Skyrim. As usual, all the mods, both required and optional, will be listed in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please don't forget to leave a like and show your appreciation, and certainly leave a comment below. I love to hear you guys' feedback, and I respond to all of my comments, so you can expect to get a response from that. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching once again. This has been the Acrobat. I've been Ethan from the Pixel Arrow Productions, and I will see you in another video.